Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada, and Rocky Mountain Barbecue, Alberta barbecue cuisine at its best.
I know you're going to go off on me here because I want to talk to you about fighting a little bit in the NHL, especially the Instigator rule. And the reason I want to bring it up...
What Boston Bruins player got beat up?
It's not that at all. It's the Calgary Flames.
Who got beat up?
Michael Backlund, for example, the other night when Lovejoy...
Ben Lovejoy.
...nails Curtis Glencross, and he's out for the year.
Grade 2 strain of the MCL, medial collateral ligament.
And this is kind of what bugged me all year about the Flames. I mean, especially in the defense. When something like that happens, no one went after Michael Backlund, for God's sakes. It's like sending Ron Mans in to fight for you. You know,
but maybe there's a different atmosphere on the Flames. Of Michael Backlund.
Well, it was good on him, but it didn't last long.
No. The Instigator rule.
Yeah, the Instigator rule.
2, 5, and a 10.
So he's out for 17 minutes right there. You give him heart for doing that, give him marks for the heart, but at the same time, the whole Instigator rule, Grant, and another Instigator rule that I didn't know if you have the visor, you get another 2 minutes.
Yes. Okay. Had a great chance to meet Gordie Howe last week. And some of the players he played against. A common theme what Gordie Howe did, if you did something to him or something to his line mate or his son, he didn't come and get you right away necessarily. He's Lonsborough. Week later, 2 weeks later, and I've heard from people, Archie Henderson, Calgary guy who played in the minors for many years, fighter kind of guy. He told me a story. He said he hit Marty Howe. He was so afraid because he knew Gordie would be coming at him. So I guess what I'm saying is that, yes, I understand what you're saying about the Instigator rule. That's too bad that Ben Lovejoy goes almost unscathed except for a penalty, and Michael Backlund severely punished. But why not just take a number? And the next time the Flames play the Ducks, Lovejoy, you pay the price.
Yeah, I agree with that, Grant. And
to me, that's class hockey. The fear.
Gordie Howe on his elbow, that's some class hockey.
But you put the fear, in the guy. So that's what I look at.
But that's one of the points I was making about the Instigator rule, Grant. It takes the guys policing the game out. That's what I liked about no Instigator rule, because that kind of stuff would take place more often. You didn't have the chirpers like your Lapierres and Burrows out in Vancouver. You had to, you know. So instead, you're saying so you can't retaliate right away because of the Instigator, and I'm saying is that why can't Brian McGrattan? Okay, this gets Anaheim. Okay, he's Getzlaff, Corey Perry. Okay, you watch out. I'm coming after Corey Perry next. Why can't you do that? Well, you can.
Okay.
But I still hate that Instigator rule, and I'd like to...
But I'm saying you can retaliate, Mike, without immediately, fighting a guy. And what's that going to prove? Oh, Lovejoy, he's off the ice. I'm saying the best way to retaliate, forget the Instigator penalty, is that Brian McGrattan or somebody like that, Jackman for the Flames, go target one of their better players on the other team.
I just hate that when you got a yapper, he's yapping around, skating around the ice, and all of a sudden the guy
like a Brad Marchand kind of guy?
Well, there's anybody, Grant. I'm not specific. I'm just saying any kind of guys. All of a sudden he's yapping, trying to cause shit, and all of a sudden the guy retaliates and he gets the Instigator. I hate that rule. Just police it yourself. Another thing, remember when you and I used to talk about how people fought in the NHL? Guys grab on, and this arm.
Yes, there we go.
You know, you remember this? And
you're kind of like my uncle who tells the same stories every time I see him. Mike, or guys, I'm just going to be quiet because, Mike, I've heard this story before. Go ahead.
No, because it's new, Grant. I'm just saying, if you notice the way that people are fighting in the NHL a little more this day. I mean, guys, 250.
You were always complaining that guys were always these wild houses, or roundhouses, I should say.
But, nowadays, if you noticed, and I always wondered why guys didn't do this more. When they grab this guy, the closest fist they have to a guy's face
is
that one right there. And more you're seeing these guys just little jabs, little shots, and guys, instead of waiting for this thing, they're doing.
You did say that. You did say that.
But you're seeing more and more.
20 years ago.
You're seeing more and more of that. I remember one of the funniest stories we
used to always say they should use their elbows too from in close.
Well, I remember doing a story with Sandy McCarthy and Mike Miles talking about how they should fight, and it was interesting. And I asked Gary Roberts, why don't you use your elbow when you're in close?
And he said, well, that's illegal. I said, well, not really. It's quicker, it's harder, and you don't break your hand on visors or helmets. But that was just another day of another story.